She almost didn't look up when he walked in. Another dusty cowboy passing through town. Another hat tipped low, boots worn from miles of nowhere. In a place like this, where dreams dried up faster than the riverbeds, travelers came and went without leaving a trace. Emma had learned not to expect anything different. She poured his coffee without a word. He thanked her like it mattered. Not the rushed kind of thanks people throw around, but the kind that feels seen. She noticed that. He asked about the valley. Most folks asked about gas stations, highways, shortcuts out. No one asked about the valley unless they were buying it cheap, or leaving it behind. It used to be beautiful, she said quietly. Before the farms failed. Before families packed up. He listened. Really listened. Like her words weren't just small-town noise. For 3 days he came back. Same booth. Same coffee. Same gentle questions. He tipped well, but not flashy. Kind, but not loud about it. On his last morning, he left an envelope on the counter. "I think this belongs to the valley," he said. Inside was a deed transfer agreement. He had bought the land surrounding the town, the abandoned farms, the dried fields. Emma's breath caught. "Why?" she whispered. He smiled. "Because sometimes a place just needs someone to believe in it again." She thought he was just another cowboy passing through. She didn't know he was the kind who stayed long enough to bring a valley back to life. By sunset, the whole town knew. At first, they didn't believe it. Rumors travel fast in small places, but hope travels carefully. People had been disappointed too many times. Emma stood outside the diner and watched trucks roll into the valley the next morning. Not flashy luxury trucks. Work trucks. Surveyors. Builders. Soil specialists. People who looked at the dry land not with pity, but with plans. The cowboy, whose name she finally learned was Daniel, moved quietly through it all. No press. No speeches. No cameras. He called a town meeting in the old community hall, the one with peeling paint and folding chairs that creaked louder than the floorboards. "I didn't buy the valley to own it," he said simply. "I bought it so you can rebuild it." Murmurs filled the room. He laid out his vision: restore irrigation, partner with local farmers, create jobs, offer ownership shares to families who had once lost everything. Not charity, opportunity. An elderly man in the back stood up. "Why would you do this for people you don't even know?" Daniel paused. "Because someone once did it for me." Silence fell heavy and sacred. Emma felt something shift inside her. This wasn't about land. It wasn't about money. It was about dignity. Over the next few weeks, the valley slowly began to change. Wells were repaired. Soil was tested. Young families who had left years ago started calling. And one evening, as Emma closed the diner, Daniel stayed behind. "You didn't just buy the valley," she said softly. He smiled at her. "No. I think you bought us time to believe again." And for the first time in years, the town didn't feel forgotten. The first rain came 3 weeks later. Not a storm. Not a miracle. Just a steady, patient rain that soaked into the soil like it had been waiting for permission. Emma stood by the diner window, watching the drops darken the earth that had looked lifeless for years. Across the valley, fresh irrigation lines glimmered beneath the gray sky. Workers laughed under their hats. Children splashed in puddles where dust once ruled. Hope was no longer a rumor. It was visible. But not everyone was convinced. A large agricultural corporation had taken interest in the valley once news spread. They offered Daniel double what he paid, promising development, warehouses, distribution centers, fast money. At the town meeting, tension filled the room. "If he sells, we're back where we started," someone whispered. Emma searched Daniel's face. She saw the weight of the decision. The offer would make him wealthier than ever. No one would blame him. He stood slowly. "I didn't come here to flip land," he said firmly. "I came here to plant roots." The room exhaled. He tore the contract in half. Applause broke out, not loud, not wild, but deep. Real. That night, Emma found him sitting alone on the diner steps. "You could have walked away rich," she said. He looked at the valley, now shining under the clearing sky. "I already am." That's when she realized the twist no one expected. Daniel hadn't saved the valley alone. The valley was saving him, too. And sometimes, the greatest act of kindness isn't just giving someone land. It's choosing to stay when leaving would be easier. The harvest came sooner than anyone expected. Golden rows stretched across the valley like a promise finally kept. Crops that once refused to grow now stood tall under wide American skies. Farmers who had packed up their lives years ago returned, with trucks, with children, with cautious smiles. The town diner was full again. Emma moved between tables carrying plates and laughter. She hadn't seen the place this alive since she was a little girl. The walls felt warmer. The air lighter. But that night, she found Daniel standing alone at the edge of the fields. "You should be celebrating," she said gently. He gave a small smile. "I am." Yet something in his voice felt unfinished. After a long pause, he finally spoke. "When my father lost our ranch, no one helped us," he admitted. "We left in the middle of the night. I promised myself that if I ever had the chance, I'd make sure another family didn't have to." Emma felt her chest tighten. This wasn't just business. This was healing. "You didn't just keep families here," she said softly. "You rewrote their story." He looked across the valley, children running between hay bales, neighbors shaking hands, porch lights glowing again. "So did they," he replied. At the town's harvest gathering, Daniel surprised everyone one more time. He announced the final step of his plan. Full ownership shares would officially transfer to the community cooperative. The valley would belong to the people who worked it. Gasps. Tears. Applause. He hadn't bought the valley to own it. He bought it to give it back. And in doing so, he proved something powerful. Real wealth isn't measured in acres or dollars. It's measured in the lives you help grow. A year later, no one called it the Forgotten Valley anymore. It had a new name now, painted proudly on a wooden sign at the entrance: Second Chance Valley. Families who once left with broken hearts had come home. New businesses lined the main street. The school reopened 2 classrooms that had been shut for years. Even the old church bell rang again on Sunday mornings. Emma stood outside the diner one evening, watching the sunset stretch across fields of gold. She remembered the day Daniel first walked in, dust on his boots, quiet eyes, simple smile. She had thought he was just another cowboy passing through. She was wrong. Daniel never tried to be a hero. He never gave interviews. When reporters eventually came, he stepped aside and let the farmers speak. "It was their work," he'd say. "I just believed." But the truth was deeper than that. Belief is powerful when someone else lends it to you, especially when you've lost your own. One evening, as the town gathered for the annual harvest festival, the mayor handed Daniel a small wooden plaque. It wasn't expensive. It wasn't flashy. It read, "For the man who reminded us who we are." Daniel looked around at the laughter, the music, the children chasing fireflies. "I didn't buy this valley," he said quietly. "You built it." And Emma realized the final twist of all. Sometimes the greatest act of kindness isn't grand or loud. It's seeing potential where others see ruin. It's choosing compassion over profit. It's staying. Because when one person believes, an entire community can rise. And that's how a passing cowboy became part of something permanent.